Hey there, guys, and a big welcome back to the Blaze TV podcast. Ed Kimberley and Stu Coles with you as always. And our guest on this edition, new face for the 25-26 season, defenseman Ivan Chukarov. Ivan, I've got to say, we've been WhatsApping a little bit back and forward today. We were talking for about 15, 20 minutes before we hit record. I'm super excited to meet you. I'm super excited to do this podcast. Welcome to the Blaze.
Well, thank you guys. It's a pleasure to meet both of you. I couldn't be more excited to get over to Coventry and start the new season.
Now, in break from traditional format, I usually get the ball rolling here, but I'm going to hand the baton off to Stu to get going through some of the early parts of your career. If you're ready for a trip down memory lane, Stu.
Let's.
Yeah, we're going back.
Okay.
So all the way back. You started playing AAA back in Chicago, in like not far from where you grew up, and then you moved to the NAHL and you moved up to Minnesota. What was the reason for that move to go up to Minnesota? Because that's not close to where you live, certainly by UK standards.
So the funny thing is with that, I was first initially signed with the Amarillo Bulls down in Texas in the North American Hockey League, and then they traded me up to Minnesota. So imagine that drive all the way from Texas all the way up to the very tip top of Minnesota, right? So that was a nice 26-hour drive. But ultimately, I just wanted to keep pursuing hockey after high school, and I had an opportunity to play in the North American League, and Minnesota gave me the great opportunity to play in there for 2 years. And luckily enough, we were able to win the Robertson Cup my second year there, and yeah, my career kind of took off from there.
And how did the move sort of evolve? Was it sort of like some scouts came to look at you like during high school and AAA and sort of said, "Look, we'd quite like you in the NHL," or was it something that you sort of proactively went out and found?
So no, there was a scout. His name was Sean White. He worked for the Amarillo at the time. I think I forgot what year it was, 2013, I believe. And he was kind of been watching me play for a couple years, and he said, "Hey, listen, I think you'd be a good fit, and in Amarillo, we'd really like to have you." I signed a tender, as they call, and it's basically saying that my rights belong to Amarillo for the next following season. And then obviously they thought that I'd be, wasn't the right fit for them, and then they shipped me off to Minnesota.
You end up, like you say, you end up in Minnesota. What was the difference in standard like from like high school AAA up to NAHL? How did that feel on the ice as a player?
So obviously the biggest change was just how fast the game was, right? We're at AAA, I'm playing with kids that are my age or maybe a year younger, and then I make the step to junior hockey, and there's kids that are 3, 4 years older than me. They're about to make that step to college, right? They're stronger, they're faster. So obviously I had to evolve my game pretty quickly to adjust to that speed.
Yeah, and you mentioned as well, it worked out pretty well for yourself because you won a Robertson Cup. You beat Austin.
Yeah.
It was 2-0 in that best of three series. What was that run like in sort of getting to the final and ultimately getting over the line?
So that run. I'll never forget this run for, I think, the rest of my life. That first round of playoffs in Minnesota, we lost the first two games. And the way the Robertson Cup playoffs work, the first two series are best of five, and then the last two series are best of three. So we were one loss away from being eventually, tossed from the playoffs. And after those first two losses, we went on to win every single game after that. We went 10-0 after going 0-2 and swept every team from that on. And I'll never forget that. That was quite incredible. I felt like we couldn't lose and we didn't lose. So it was awesome.
And there's a couple of points, like digging around and doing some reading. There's a couple of points that are quite incredible, even for a standard of going 10-0 in the playoffs, which by itself is a huge achievement. The game one of the final,
Oh yeah.
quadruple overtime. That's something that we just don't see over here. We don't see really anywhere. So what was that like to play in at that age?
Oh man, it was tough. I mean, guys were cramping. It was funny. The refs didn't want to stop the game, so they're pulling guys off the ice mid-play because they couldn't get back to the bench and pulling them by the skate. And the funny thing was, if we went to one more overtime, they were gonna call it because the ice started melting. So they're like, we essentially can't keep playing because Zamboni couldn't keep up with it. But luckily enough, we found a way to score, and not gonna lie, playing that next game, the next day was grueling as well. After staying up till I don't even know when that game ended, 2 a.m., 1 a.m. It was late, it was
Yeah.
late.
And feel free to correct me if this is wrong. Your goalie started both of those games and played
Yeah,
Brock Counts. He played all of both of those games. So he plays a quadruple overtime, and then it's something like you say, 16, 18 hours later, back on the ice, starting game
yeah,
two. Not only did he start, he keeps a shutout in game two as well.
yeah. Brock had an incredible playoff run for us that year. He was standing on his head, and I mean, big credit to him. That's a major reason why we won those playoffs is because of Brock.
And yourself as well, you had a great regular season. It all kind of fits in. You were, I think, top five in defenseman points. Like that must have been you sort of like you've got to that point, NAHL, and you're on a real high, and you get that trophy at the end. You must have sort of capped what felt like an amazing year.
Yeah, it was a great year that year. That even I think halfway through that year, I committed to go play college hockey for University of Massachusetts that year, and then that same year, that following summer, I got drafted in the NHL. So that year was very, very memorable for myself.
Yeah, and on to that, we'll pass over to Ed.
It's like you've looked at the script here, Ivan, and you know exactly where we're going with this. But yeah, like you say, 2014, 2015 for the Blaze, that was a pretty great season too. You know, we won the playoffs that year, the last major trophy that we won, and it was a busy all year for yourself. Let's talk a little bit about the draft first. Buffalo picked you up. It was a heck of a draft class that year as well. What was your experience of it like?
So, to be honest, with you, I didn't go to the draft. I
Mm.
wasn't really fully expecting to get drafted. I mean, I had a few meetings with a couple NHL scouts that they said, we might be able to draft you, this and that. And so I remember going to the grocery store with my mom because we were planning to go out on the boat that day, and we were just picking up a few, I don't know, I think probably burger patties and sausages. And next thing I know, I get a call from my agent at the time, and he just goes, Buffalo, seventh round. And I go, what? He goes, you got picked first overall in the seventh round by Buffalo. And I immediately sprinted over to my mom and I was like, I just got drafted. And she's like, what? What? So that day was, and then we obviously went to the boat and celebrated, but that was a dream come true, right? A dream come true to get your name called in the NHL.
Oh yeah, and then a few short weeks later, you got to attend rookie camp as well. And you know, just for context, I think that was McDavid's year. Buffalo picked up Eichel, who's what with the
Yeah.
Golden Knights now. There was a lot of attention around that year, wasn't there? What was camp like?
Well, I mean, camp was luckily enough all focused on Jack Eichel, right? We kind of all hid in the shadows a bit and goofed off, right? So he was under the microscope a bit, but obviously just seeing him, in person, playing with him on the ice, you could tell just his skill level. Not only him, but obviously Sam Reinhart was out there with us for development camp. Um, where else? Just some big names out there. William Carrier, he plays for the Vegas Knights. Will Borgen, he plays for Seattle now, or New York Rangers now. So obviously, just again, just being on the ice with those guys and sharing that ice and seeing their talent level, their work ethic was obviously why eye opening for myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's always when you get to play up, with guys that are, maybe either a little bit older or they're a little bit further on in their career, or playing at a different tier. You learn from that, right? I think it's the same in any sport. I play a lot of golf, and when I play with my friends who are better golfers than me, like you have to elevate your game. You know what I mean? You learn from what they're doing.
Yeah,
It's a great thing if you approach it right.
yeah, no, exactly. And like I went into it just like being a sponge, like learning from all
Mm.
their training staff, their nutrition staff, and then obviously their coaching, how they handle practices and their mindset going into practice. Like I feel like the practices there were almost more intense than the games, right? Guys are battling each other for one on one. Again, it's your teammate, but again, you're pushing each other to kind of elevate your own game.
And we're going to talk a little bit about UMass, and we talked a little bit about this before we hit record because to us it's quite clear for the reasons you went to UMass from what we were talking about. Tell everyone listening to this what your motives were.
So I want to go to UMass because again, they played in Hockey East. I felt like Hockey East was the top level of NCAA hockey that anyone can play, and I want a challenge for myself too against playing against some of the best players in college hockey. And UMass came up with an opportunity for me to step in and play. And I was like, this might be the best route for myself to my career. And again, just to push myself, like you said, to elevate my own game and go from there.
Yeah, and the course, I mean, you'd have to forgive me for forgetting the exact course title, but that was quite close to your heart as well. And it's not every kind of school or college, certainly over in the UK, offer that kind of program.
Yeah, the building construction technology program. I actually found that out my second year I was there at UMass. I first went in to be an engineer, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember sitting in class and I was like, this isn't anything at all that I'm used to or want to do. So next, I went to my advisor and I said, "Hey, is there anything that you can do with construction, something like that?" And he goes, "Yeah, there's a great new school here called Building Construction Technology, and there's a major there." And I was like, "Perfect. This is exactly what I want to do after hockey ends and fit my like I said, fit my agenda. Fit, and again, I was able to play hockey and pursue something that I want to do."
Yeah, and you mentioned playing in Hockey East. I mean, that is one of the big divisions in the NCAA, and it kind of feels like when you were at UMass, you were there at a really interesting time because those first couple of years, in terms of the win record, it wasn't so great, but there was a rebuild halfway through, and it really does look like, yeah, it was a tale of two teams almost.
No, yeah, my freshman sophomore year we're a bit tough. We unfortunately lost our whole coaching staff after my freshman year, and Greg Carvel and his regime stepped in, and they flipped that entire program around. And big kudos to them. Like they're still a leading program in Hockey East for this to this day, and I feel like they're going to be a big dog for the rest. Who knows how long down the road? But again, Greg and again his team came in and really turned the tides there.
For,
And it
for
was cool. And it
context.
was, yeah, and it was cool to be a part of too. Again, to see that firsthand, it was cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask because for context, they had Kale McCarr knocking around there. They picked him up. Mitch Chaffee's doing pretty well for himself as well. There are a couple of other guys as well. And again, similar to when we talk about going to camp and playing with the Jack Eichels of the world, learning from those around you and going through change, big change in that program. It must have been an exciting time. And again, I guess it's what you make of it, isn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. And like I said, they came in, kind of changed the whole culture around UMass hockey, right? They came in, they got it. We had a brand new training facility put in that again helped us with our off ice abilities. We got a new strength coach. We changed up how our locker room looked, all the layout, changed up how our practices were. Because again, Carvel, he coached NHL, right? He worked with Babcock with the Ottawa Senators, and he had that whole mindset of, my job here is to get you best prepared for the pro hockey life. And again, just to see that firsthand, it definitely opened my eyes. Again, playing with Cale McCarr and John Leonard and Mauro Ferraro and Mitch Chafee and all these guys. Again, just seeing how they show up every day, each day in, day out, how they train, how they prepare for each game. It again helped elevate my game itself too.
And then in your final year, you kind of turned pro and you ended up joining Worcester.
Mhm.
And that season was pretty much stacked with Blaze alumni. You've got good old JD Dudek, who I saw the other week. He's
Yeah.
doing well. He looks more like Miles Teller than Miles Teller looks like Miles Teller. Barry Almeida, Alec Marsh, all of those guys have come through the Blaze. What was that? What was that season like? And what was it like joining Worcester kind of halfway through the year?
So that was a bit weird trying to join Worcester, I think, toward the tail end of their season, right? But it was a good way for me to just get a taste of what pro hockey is like, right? Just to see if it's something I'm interested in. And then I think I only played 15 games there towards the end. I remember being like, this is again, Worcester had a great facility, great practice facility. Jamie Russell was a great coach. We had Derek Army, who's now the head coach of Wheeling, like the great coaching staff. And then that following year, I think it was 2019 or 2020, 2021. We again played only half a year, and that's when COVID unfortunately hit. So our season got cut short again. So it's like I only got just a glimpse of what pro hockey was, and then COVID hit, and then I sat out a year and got a whole year I was itching to get back in the pro scene, and luckily enough, I got an opportunity with Adirondack.
That COVID year, I mean, I think everybody who was playing the game, no matter what tier you were at, whether you're playing pro, midget, college, whatever, everyone's got a COVID story. I mean, Stu and I will tell you when you get over. We had a 4-team tournament in the Elite League, and you get to commentate in an empty building, pretty much, in one of the biggest buildings in the league, and that was kind of weird. But what was
Yeah.
the experience like for you? Because it was pretty bad timing, like you say. You've by sticking two half seasons together, you've almost got a full year. You're trying to establish yourself in the coast. Like I said, was it a case of bad timing for you?
I mean, you could say that, right? It's unfortunate what happened. I was signed to go play in Worcester that following year, and then I think 2, 3 weeks before the season started, they're like, "Hey, listen, we're not playing," you know. And at that time, every other team that was playing had already a full roster, so there's no spots for me to even jump on a new team. But I took that year again just to train. I met a great guy, and his name's Matt Ford. He played many years in the AHL for Grand Rapids, won a Calder Cup, and he stayed here in Chicago and trained a few of us stragglers a couple times a week. And then I started working for Matt Ford. He has a Ford hockey school that I've been working with him for the past 4 or 5 years. And that kind of helped again, just helped me put my foot in the door with coaching. Yeah, it helped me start my business with TMP hockey, as I call it, the next prospects. I do private lessons and group lessons coaching. So I took that year to kind of maybe just open up some new routes for myself in case hockey doesn't work out. But fortunately enough, I was able to find a spot with Adirondack the following year.
And it's awesome that you use that time wisely. I would like to say the same, but I just played a lot of Call of Duty that year, so you got one up on
Hey,
me.
so did I. Hey, so did I.
We had a lot of downtime, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Talk about moving to Wheeling then, because that was an interesting year because you also got to experience Utica's American League camp,
Mhm.
but then got traded to Adirondack, like you say. So that must have been a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah, so I was in Wheeling for 1 week. I actually was originally signed with Wheeling, kind of the whole Amarillo kind of type deal as well. I signed with Amarillo, got traded, I signed with Wheeling for a week, and then Derek said, "Hey, listen, you have a better opportunity at Adirondack. They only have 4 defensemen right now. A couple of them guys are injured, and he shipped me off to Adirondack, and it was a great move too. Got to play with Shane Harper. He's a great legend. Colin Long. He's also a big legend that played in Germany for a couple of years. But again, learning from those older guys that played in the NHL, the Swedish Elite League or the KHL. Again, just taking every moment I can. Again, just to keep learning from people around me. So it was a cool experience for sure.
And Adirondack's a hockey town. Like
Oh
there have been
yeah.
franchises, whether it's the Coast, the American League, various other leagues. Like there's always a franchise in Adirondack, which I mean, it's a cool building to play in, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, the cool Ensuring Arena. That place is amazing, and they pack it too. Like those fans
Mm.
are super passionate about their hockey. Again, a lot of history in it with the Red Wings playing there with their farm team, and just the town itself. Like Lake George, absolutely stunning. If you guys can ever get out there to visit for the summer or even the fall, because again, when the leaves change color, it is breathtaking. It's a great city.
That's a good tip. I'll keep that one in the back pocket. You never know when that's going to come in handy. And from the changing leaves, you then ended up in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
That must have been a bit of a culture shock because Florida's a wild place.
Yeah, I mean Jacksonville, I love Jacksonville. Great weather year round, right? You're playing in 60-degree weather in January, right? Going outside playing golf. It was a great move for me personally as well. My girlfriend, her brother lives in Jacksonville. She is from Florida too. Her parents live in Gainesville, so it was good for her to get home, be able to spend time with her brother for that season too. So it was a great move. Good move for me personally.
And it was a couple of years where you got to take some postseason hockey as well. And
Yeah.
the intensity in North American playoff hockey just ramps up to another level, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially in the South Division where, I
Mm.
played this last 2 years playing against Florida, those guys back to back champs, or South Carolina, Orlando, even like as soon as playoff hockey hits, it is a different animal. Absolutely. Different animal.
And that almost brings us up to the modern day. So I'm going to pass you over to Stu real quick, if that's okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, now we look to almost the future now. So after a couple of years in Jacksonville, you're heading across the Atlantic, coming to join us over here in Coventry. So obviously, it's I guess a turning point in your career. It's something a bit new. So why Europe? Why the UK? Why Coventry? How have you ended up coming over to the Blaze?
So Kevin actually reached out to me prior to not this past season, but the previous season. So my first year in Jacksonville, Kevin reached out and he was like, "Hey, I'm a head coach at Coventry. What are the odds you want to come to UK?" And I was like, I'd love to, but maybe I'd want to just spend one more year in Jacksonville. Because again, I just want to play another year. Again, my girlfriend's family there, it should be important to her just to spend another year there. And then as soon as this season ended, Kevin reached out again, and we got to talking. And I was again just a huge fan of what Kevin was preaching. He wants to come in, he wants to make a huge run for it here in the English League, and I'm a guy that wants to win. I want to come in and knock down the big four over there, the Nottingham, Belfast, all those guys. Right, they've kind of had their a foothold on the league, and why can't Coventry come up the ranks and he kind of shocked the league a bit. And again, it's a great opportunity for myself, and I've always wanted to go play in Europe. Obviously, my girlfriend and I don't have any kids yet, so it'd be easier to go out there, travel Europe, see a different part of the world without, having to take care of the little one just yet. And I just thought it'd be a great time to do it now.
So certainly persistence from Kevin was part of that, was part of those conversations. What else was the discussion? I mean, obviously you both went to UMass, obviously at different times. What was those sort of conversations like around sort of, the selling of Coventry, or, was he more focused about you as a player? Like, how did those sort of chats come around?
I mean, yeah, he did. He obviously did his great research watching me play. I feel like tons of games. He had a good idea of what kind of player I was, and he brought a role to my attention that I just couldn't say no to. Like, I want to come in and be a leader on the back end for the guys, and again push the ship to win. Right, I want to get some wins. And Kevin also was a big advocate of how close-minded the group is in Coventry, like how tight-knit it is. It's all about just bringing in good people that have good values and are good teammates. And I've talking to Carter, especially. Carter had nothing but great things to say about Coventry, and he also doubled down on Kevin, saying that it was a great group of guys, great city, and great fans. And I was like, I mean, sounds almost too good to be true, so why not?
I think we were talking a little bit before we hit record, and we were talking about how close hockey is as a kind of community. Did you sort of do your own research? Did you reach out to guys like JD Dudek, who you played with before? Like, talk to anyone to sort of say, you've been in the UK. What's it like? What's the sort of the league like over there?
So, I mean, like I said, I'm fortunate enough to play with Carter this past year. So I did a lot of my talking with Carter about Coventry and what the league was like. And he gave me all the inside info on what the league's like, how Coventry is. And like I said, Carter had, again, nothing but good things to say about Coventry. He loved his time here. And yeah, he did a great job.
Great sell from all concerned, because you've signed a contract now. So that's it means that you'll be here in August, September time when the games start rolling in. So when you get to hit the ice here in Coventry, what are the Blaze fans going to see from yourself? How would you describe your game to them?
I feel like I'm a offensive, minded defenseman, but I take care of my end the right way. I know how to play defense, have a good stick. I feel like I'm creative with the puck. I always play with my head up, and I'm a good first pass. Like, my passes are pretty accurate, I feel like, and I'm also patient. I'm not just throwing pucks away. Like, I wait for the right play to come along, and I try to make the smart play. And I feel like the Coventry fans are gonna like to see like what they see.
Well, it sounds great. Certainly, it would be a great fit, I'm sure. This is, in terms of, sort of deals and how hockey works. This is quite early to get yourself signed, so you can kind of sort of kick back now. Is it good to kind of have it all sort of sorted relatively early on, so you can kind of sort of focus on maybe a little bit more preparation, get in the gym, do some skate? Like,
Yeah.
how does that feel?
Honestly, it feels like it lit a fire under me a little bit. I got in the gym, I think the next day after I signed. I was like, let's get this ball rolling. Like, I want to show up prepared, and like I said, hit the ice running in good stride and just kind of go from there. But yeah, it just got me more motivated more than anything.
And between now and when you fly over, you mentioned that you've got some interest in coaching. Is that most of your summer? What are you doing to sort of spend your time right now over the next couple of months?
So yeah, I do a lot of coaching. Actually, just before this call, I had 3 sessions I was working with a couple groups. Yesterday I had a session too. So a lot of my time is spent on the ice this year. in the summer, most summers actually, which I don't mind. I like being on the ice, keeping that touch right, keeping the puck handling still going. But then as soon as July, August roll around, I'll kind of take a step back from coaching and then focus on just my own skating again, prepping up the conditioning, and then just getting more prepared. Like I'm working out more, but I'm not on the ice as much. Like I'll try and skate once or twice a week right now. But then as again July, August rolls around, I'll ramp it up to 3 to 5 times a week. So
hopefully you'll have a good summer either way and enjoy the coaching, Ed.
yeah.
The last one for me is like, I've done some teaching in various things, like whether it's in the professional life or whatever over the years. Do you find like since you started coaching, that COVID year and afterwards, it's kind of helped develop how you certainly prepare mentally for the game and kind of taking your game to another level that way?
I believe so. I mean, there's a ton of sessions where I was trying to teach a kid how to, work on a certain skill set, and then it kind of clicked in my own head. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I should try this, right? So kind of just again help. I'm putting the words and the stuff that I need to work on too. Because again, I'm working with a kid or a group of guys. Like I'm seeing stuff that maybe the habits that they certainly are doing right. Then I'm like, okay, if I'm preaching this, I should also be kind of doing it too, right? So it's been interesting. It's been really cool to again. Obviously, I've been doing this for a couple of years now. It's also cool to come back to the clients I've worked with after every year and just seeing how much they've improved as well. Also, how much they've grown. Like kids are 13, 12. Like they might be, who knows, 5'2" one season. I come back for the summer, they're 5'9", 5, and they sound different too. It's like, well, what? This is a completely new kid, right? So it's cool to see. It's really cool to see.
It's when they've got a full beard that it's a real.
Yeah.
But no, I think we're gonna love having you here, and I think you're gonna love it here. One of the things that the Blaze like to do is work with the junior system as well, so you'll have plenty of opportunity to not only show the fans on the ice what you can do, but also teach the future generation of Blaze stars a few tricks as well. So, Ivan, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for doing this, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Well, thank you guys for having me, and I'm super excited to go out and obviously meet you guys in person and hang out, get some beers. We'll see how it goes, but I'm super, super excited to get over there.
Absolutely. And guys, thank you so much again for tuning in to the Blaze TV podcast. We'll have a few more of these for you real soon. Bye for now.